Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video here. How's everyone doing here? I hope everyone's doing great here. So in today's video, we're going to be doing the another daily Bellringer video here. Today we're going to be doing about the Haymarket Riot here. So yeah, this is another video that I made for the daily Bellringer video here. And if you guys haven't seen my last videos of me covering about his channel here, we did ones that includes about the biography of Andrew Carnegie was John D. Rockefeller here, and we also did about the Pullman strike here of 1894, and yeah, no, and so this time in today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to cover also this one, the Haymarket Riot here, and I've also covered also the Gilded Age as well here, so about the whole time period and what this time period is about, what the purpose is, and what is meaningful and how does it impact into like all the way to today. So in today's video, we're going to be doing the Haymarket Riot here, and yeah, which is right here. Tensions between workers and employers during the Gilded Age came to head in Chicago in 1884. Throughout the time period, paid workers began to organize and argue for some more rights there. So like some working and like more hours, more working or making rights. So before we get into this video, if you guys haven't yet, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you're new, don't forget to comment, and turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified by every video I'll be posting in the channel. And yeah, anyways, we can let's get started. Alright, here we go, let's do it.
Haymarket Riot.
Let's start with the Haymarket Riot.
Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos.
Of course.
In the wake of the American Civil War,
let me turn on the subtitles real quick here.
Underwent major changes and enormous
doesn't
growth.
Work here. Okay.
For 30 years, between 1870 to 1900, the U.S. economy exploded, nearly doubling in size in what historians have come to call the Gilded Age.
Yep, this is like I said before, this is around like the time period where there's like a growing number of factories, such as like, you know, the growing production of oil, steel, and as well as also the growing amount of like many businesses and jobs that are basically being open here, as well as like iron production and many imported other goods here, as well as also many, like, you know, and as well as also this allows also for public transportation and as well as also that's what the reasons like a growing amount of like basically economy it makes, and as well as also like construction of railroads here, and as well as also, you know, as well as also many big companies and corporations that basically made a lot of imported goods, yeah?
This major growth came huge expansions in industry across the country. Factories began popping up and cities began to grow as people began to move into cities for factory jobs.
Right.
Many of these jobs, however, required long 12 to 16-hour workdays, working on weekends and holidays, as well as working in unsafe conditions. By the 1880s, workers began to organize together and argue for better wages, better hours, and safer conditions.
Of course.
Workers began to go on strike or refuse to work until their demands were met. In response, many employers began to use several strategies to combat the strikes, such as bringing in scab workers or using violence to break up strikes. Many workers argued that the capitalistic economic system in America created an unfair advantage for business owners, and they were getting rich by taking advantage of workers.
Right. They were,
Included within the labor movement were radical.
Yeah, there's like, you know, a lot of corruption here. So like basically like big job owners and like, you know, those big bosses that are basically could have like control over the jobs here and like basically control like over the money and like basically how much we're like paid of money here that many workers that they get here, and also that the longer hours that they work, and also like in the case of working the factories that there were many unsafe conditions here. And yeah, no, and this is what we're going to lead to also in the Haymarket Riot, as like, many workers wanted to have better working rights here, as well as like, few more hours of working here, and as well as also like more safer conditions and safe, and also as well as also like basically also to end child slavery, as well as also end like pollution, and as well as decreasing famine, and like those kind of safe conditions here, and as well as also getting like get a better paid as well here.
Groups as well that held socialist, communist, and even anarchist ideas. Which, remember, anarchists are those who believe in anarchy,
Right,
which
and
is the idea that
and as well as
governments
many
need to be
socialist groups
eliminated
that
to
were also
ensure
involved
individual
in later in this
freedoms.
movement here.
Many in these radical groups were foreign-born workers, such as immigrants from Germany and Eastern Europe. In the early 1880s, the major issue workers were united in fighting was creating an 8-hour workday. In October of 1884, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions agreed that they would set a deadline of May 1st, 1886 as being the point when the 8-hour workday had to be law. Otherwise, thousands of workers were going to walk off the job and go on strike. When May 1st came, the demand of an 8-hour workday was not met by employers, and so it's estimated that close to 500,000 American workers went on strike from New York to Detroit to Milwaukee. One city that was at the forefront of the strikes and violence that would ensue was Chicago, Illinois. At the McCormick Harvesting and Machine Company on May 3rd, 1886, workers attempted to keep strike breakers from crossing the line and going into work. They were unsuccessful, but at the end of the workday, when the strike breakers were leaving work, the workers on strike.
Yeah, so like basically like so basically what he is saying here, is that if like basically workers like many work really hard and they work in like many hours of like whatever it is, like copper, steel, iron, or gold or something, to like making mass like a lot of like money with here, as well as a lot of mass production here, then they usually just like to then skip those days, then they just go on strike here, meaning that they would just leave and like skip a job here, and like basically to not like work in that factory again here, and that's what they were because of like the unsafe conditions and everything that I mentioned from before here, and many of these guys, like, and then many who are like that there were, including like many anarchists or socialists, like immigrants from like Germany, Belgium, or like Ireland and all, and that they would then organize and then make a protest, and like what they did in Milwaukee, and then later in Chicago in 1884, will be the Haymarket Riot.
Strike rushed the front gates. Policemen fired into the crowd and killed 2 workers who were on strike.
Ooh.
The strikers were outraged, and anarchists among them began to organize a rally to basically seek revenge for what had happened, as they saw the police as being on the side of the factories. They put out flyers stating that they were going to hold a meeting at Haymarket Square, which was located in central Chicago, to protest against police brutality. On the evening of May 4th, 1886, between 2,000 to 3,000 workers gathered at about 4 p.m. and heard speeches from labor leaders. At about 10:30, a large group of police began to sweep through the square,
and then there comes like the protests and the riot.
Someone in the crowd threw a
in
homemade
Chicago.
bomb at the police. The bomb exploded immediately, killing police officer Matthias Deegan and fatally wounding 6 others.
That this would end
the police
very
and crowd
terribly,
then began to exchange gunfire. Within minutes, the square was empty, with 7 officers and 4 protesters killed and dozens wounded. Extremists were immediately blamed for the violence, and it resulted in a wave of discrimination against any foreign-born workers, and many were arrested without any cause. In Chicago, 8 men were arrested and accused of being anarchists and being part of the bombing conspiracy. In a very controversial
Yeah, this was a big basically like the game a lot of like there's a lot of like controversy into this because of like because of like the protesters and everything about it here that they were engaged into the a lot of violence between them as well as also the police here where they exchanged gunfire, and before then there was like a bomb that was like basically exploded into the middle, and there was fighting and chaos that happened there, and yeah, there was, and there was also that prove a lot of also later the extremists had took the blame and has also discriminated many other certain group like minority groups there, and later were those who were also basically then also were sent to prison here, and yeah, and this will then later get also into later into the courts and later into the trials there, into talking about the Haymarket riots and how we should, so all that, and it's also well as later, this will also later come into like basically in effect to like basically reform into like about like all the working conditions, like we need better working conditions, like with less hours, and as well as also, get a better pay there as well.
Trial. They were all convicted on very little evidence, and 4 were put to death in
Yep,
1887 for
for
the
death.
bombing. The event further widened the divide between those fighting for workers' rights and anti labor groups. The tensions between workers and employers continued, but the 8-hour workday would not become law in the United States until 1916. So, with
Yep.
that,
All right.
hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.
And that was it. Yeah, okay, so that was basically about it here. This is my reaction of the whole explanation all about the Haymarket Riot here. Yeah, so I hope you guys basically enjoyed this video here. Yeah, we did a lot of explanation here about the violence and atrocities in the Haymarket Riot of 1884 here, demand and yeah, and all about people having better worker rights and conditions and everything here. So yeah, so yeah, if you guys want to see more video like content like this before here, then what are you waiting for? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment, and let me know in the comments down below also like what are your guys' thoughts in this video here, and which history content or something I should basically review to next. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then. All right, Mr. Aaron's out. Peace.